First of all, we wanted to know, what do you define an entrepreneur?
I think it's, in terms of like a person, it's somebody who takes risks. I think the Google definition of entrepreneur is somebody who's putting something on the line for financial gain. But it doesn't, in my opinion, necessarily have to be like that. I think it's just about taking an idea you're passionate in, testing it rigorously in a market and seeing if there's some, not necessarily financial gain, but positive impact, at least for me.
Could you tell us a bit more about your background?
Sure, I can do personal and business, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm an Imperial College graduate. I graduated 2 years ago now, so
What did you study?
I did biology. So completely out of the realms of fintech that I'm in at the moment. That wasn't really the course for me, so I actually went to high school in the States, came back to Imperial for university after a gap year, which I guess kind of killed my motivation for any sort of schoolwork. So by the time I hit university, I wasn't really sure if university, let alone biology, was the right thing for me. And with a degree from Imperial, I was just like, okay, push through. It'll be good on my CV for later if things go awry. So I powered through it. I ended up tagging a year in the business school at Imperial in management to kind of open up more doors for me. And it was around that time that one of my co-founders, Nadal, is part of Founders of the Future, like an entrepreneurial network in London, founded by what's his name, Brent Hoberman. So he founded lastminute.com. He runs First Minute Capital, Founders Factory. He's a big name in venture capital and the early days of like comparison engines. So we're part of that network. We found out about open banking through at a Santander event, and we started AppTap by trying to link your spending to your carbon footprint and trying to help people budget and be better. Quickly realized, and this goes back to the first question, is testing something in the market, quickly realized that there just wasn't a really viable business in it. So we pivoted on user feedback and ended up being like an account aggregator to help people budget. Pitched last year, December, to Accenture's FinTech Innovation Lab. So they get the CMA9, their subsidiary banks, the challenger banks, all in one big room. You got 50 stern old white guys staring at you as you pitch. Their largest piece of feedback for us was, you're cutting us out of the equation by doing all of this aggregation. Is there something you can do to kind of bring us in? So we decided earlier this year to make a pivot to like a B2B model. So we plug in the back end of a bank, offering them white labeled APIs so they can offer bill management tools to their customers. So you as a user can open up your Barclays, not necessarily who we're working with, but Barclays, NatWest, or any mobile banking app, and be able to cancel, compare, switch, or sign up to any service from Netflix through to your utility bill, your broadband, your phone, all within your banking app.
Because you're how many co-founders?
There's three of us. We actually met playing football at Imperial. Just like-minded from very, very different backgrounds.
The three of you studied at Imperial?
Yeah, so I met Isa, our more technical co-founder, CTO, very first day of university, actually. And then from that, we were on the football team together. Nadal, founder CEO, came in for a master's in theoretical physics. And we just kind of started throwing ideas around. And then he joined this network after he graduated his master's. And it kind of took a next step up.
So can you explain AppTap to us again? So it's basically an app?
So we've kind of ditched the front end direct-to-consumer proposition. Instead, we plug in to a bank's back end. It doesn't sound very nice, but so we're kind of behind the scenes. It's all white labeled. It's us there, but what the bank's doing is kind of passing us information. We're digesting it and sending back the results. So you'll put, so you have all of your transactions. AppTap's algorithms will parse those transactions, find all of your recurring expenses and say, here are your subscriptions and bills. And then from that, we take your kind of financial trends plus your usage data. So we allow you to log into your phone provider or your energy and tell you how many kilowatt hours of energy you've used or how much data you've used in your phone plan. kind of merge those two things together and say, here's the best deal for you. Here's maybe the greenest or the cheapest or the fastest broadband, for example. You hit switch, check your details, use your fingerprint, and then it's done.
Do you have any exit strategy, or are you doing it to kind of run it?
It's a difficult one, right? Like if you have like a Google or Facebook or someone come along and be like, we'll throw you hundreds of millions of dollars, like, okay, sure. And it's plausible, right? So, Google 10 years ago purchased a comparison engine to try and play with the space for lots and lots of money, and then literally just scrapped it because it wasn't working for them. So there are definitely those exit opportunities we think about. We're wary, for example, of taking investment from a bank and just becoming that bank's proposition. We don't want to do that. So we're trying to avoid any exclusivity in that regard. We might give that first client the first, 6 months or a year, just as okay, thanks, we needed your trust, here's our kind of benefits in that regard. But in terms of the long term, we definitely want to hit the UK and hit it hard and fast. So that means kind of getting 3 to 5 banks on board next year, throughout the course of the next year, if possible, and really proving our use case. We know people want it. We've had feedback from people. We know banks want it. We've had feedback from them. Now it's about actually getting something out into your banking app, and it's not the first thing you think of when you open your bank account, or when you open your mobile banking app, or if you want to change your provider, you don't think, I'm going to go into my bank account. But it makes sense when you're thinking like, I'm paying way too much for my energy or my phone. Why can I not just take action right here, right now? So we'd like to get kind of 3 to 5 British banks on board, and then look at kind of the rest of Europe, the US. Personally, I'd like to get over to the States. It's a bigger market. My family's there. And Australia, North America. For us, it's about hitting kind of similar demographics.
So how did you come up with the idea of AppTap? Was it just like a problem you identified in the market?
Yeah, it was kind of 50-50 of problems we were seeing personally and with friends and family, people around us, as well as more external influences such as the PSD2 regulation change. So open banking, PSD2 has been pushed through really to increase competition in the wider European market. The FCA has made their own nice little package in open banking to kind of match what the European Banking Authority are doing in Europe, just so that if and when Brexit happens, we're still aligned in that case. We saw this kind of new opportunity opening up. So there's a few kind of channels within open banking where you have the account information services. So literally just taking in someone's account transactions and displaying them in a nice way, or using them to do stuff like your credit checks, or are you viable for a loan, that kind of thing. Then you have the payment initiation, which does exactly what it says on the tin. I, as a third party, can now initiate payments on your behalf. But we actually sit in that ecosystem as a technical service provider. So we are just providing the tech to the bank under their licenses to do certain things. So they use account information services to basically autofill the fields we ask for. So your name, your address, your phone number, if you're moving to a new energy provider, for example. They use the payment initiation services to actually set up that direct debit to that new provider. So we're sitting as a technical. It means we don't have to be kind of as strictly regulated, because it's still the bank doing the kind of handling of data. Do not build anything until you've tried to test your idea. And that was the first piece of advice we got. So we wanted to start, at the time it's called Greener, trying to link your spending to your carbon footprint. The two co-founders got sponsorships for visas by Imperial to pursue the idea, and we're like, okay, cool, Imperial likes it, let's go, start building something. And it's just not the way forward. And our kind of the first advisor we saw as a product market fit specialist, and he was just like, guys, do not build anything. Go walk down Exhibition Road, go to South Kent Station, ask people if this is something they'd use, is this an issue they're actually having? And then it gets to, are you going to pay for it? And if they say yes, then get them to pay for it. And if they won't, then you've probably not actually got something that's compelling enough. So I think that would be my main thing, is the product market fit. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Thanks
we
for having
hope
me.
AppTap is launched soon.
Hopefully, fingers crossed soon.